Welcome to the Ministry of Tourism, Zambia. We're here to showcase the opportunities that exist in the tourism sector, both in terms of leisure as well as investment. But before I get into business proper, I'd just like to give you a snippet of what the tourism sector in Zambia is all about. So Zambia is endowed with a lot of natural resources. Now these vary from both consumptive and non-consumptive. You must wish to know that Zambia has 20 national parks and 36 game management areas, which gives you a plethora of opportunities that exist in terms of having to invest in the country. Now, over and above the wild flora and fauna that we have the iconic Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. It's a must-see, it's a must-see, it's a must-feel, and it's a must experience. So we are here to showcase the investment opportunities that exist in our country, both on the consumptive and the non-consumptive type of investment. Now, for starters, I'd like to make mention that the government of the Republic of Zambia has earmarked tourism as one of the growth drivers, as I mentioned earlier, over and above other sectors such as agriculture, mining, infrastructure, energy, as well as manufacturing. Now, when you talk about tourism, tourism in itself today has those opportunities that would want our private sector to drive. We in our country have given the private sector the driving seat to be able to push investment in our country. And as such, His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, last year launched what he called the Public-Private Dialogue Forum, a toolkit that allowed the private sector as well as government to sit around the table and agree on how best we're going to drive this economy. That particular toolkit has given us an opportunity to hear out what our private sector are looking out for in terms of investment in our sector. We did come up with a few challenges, obviously, as teething problems. It's natural that you get to have teething problems, but the ultimate goal and the outcome that we have seen out of the Public-Private Dialogue Forum is that there were pieces of legislation that we needed to amend to allow a free-spirited private sector which will participate and invariably give opportunities for employment and opportunities on paying taxes to our country, which will invariably give an opportunity for our government to supply social services such as education, health, water, and sanitation. We have had this myth, which we're trying to demystify as a ministry, that indicates that tourism is an expensive venture. As the Minister of Tourism, we deny that. And we will help you, Zambians, to demystify that myth. How are we going to help you demystify that myth? By inviting you to invest in our sector. So we have categorized sites dotted across the country. Here we're talking about the protected areas, the national parks, we're talking about the game management areas, we're also talking about other infrastructure that are owned by the ministry. In this case, I'm talking about owned by our statutory bodies, the Zambia Tourism Agency, the Hostels Board, the National Heritage Conservation Commission, the Museums Board, and indeed other sectors that were relevant to the ministry. We have opened up opportunities that have allowed locals to now come and participate within the particular sector. Now, us bringing out those aspects for you to invest in is one thing. What we needed to do also through the Public-Private Dialogue Forum, coined by His Excellency the President, was to now see how best we could, through our budget pronouncements by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, to be able to allow new entrants to have an easy landing page coming into the sector. As such, the first thing that we did in consultation with the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry was to reduce the investment pledge for new entrants into the sector coming to apply for investment permits. What was obtaining before, it didn't matter who it was, but you'd find that an investor would come into Zambia and the minimum pledge that they would put in was $500,000. For any local, for any Zambian, that is a far-fetched dream. So as government, as the UPND government, we deemed it fit to reduce that threshold from a meager $500,000 to $50,000. Now, this is in terms of pledges, not actual cash. So it has actually stimulated interest in a lot of locals, such as yourselves, and indeed the ones who are back here home, to be able to invest. And more so, we looked at certain pieces of legislation that will allow new entrants in the market to be able to set up shop. What have we done? In the 2021, in our first budget in 2021, we realized that we needed to waive off certain duties on motor vehicles, especially in the tourism sector. Did it yield results? We think it did. In 2022, our next budget, we realized that it was becoming increasingly expensive for new entrants also to access capital from the banks or indeed anywhere else to be able to get into the business. And what we did in the 2022 budget, which obviously we're seeing today, is that we had to see how best we could reduce duty waivers or remove duty waivers on capital goods for the tourism sector, hospitality itself. So we have all those opportunities that exist. Well, now we have gone further to actually request that lending institutions such as commercial banks now sit with our SMEs. Remember, an economy that does not have a thriving private sector cannot sustain itself. And we have engaged the banks to be able to now finance most of these local businesses, which are SMEs, to be able to now come out and get to invest. As government, we have made sure that you will set up your business, and our deliberate ploy would be to actually get those customers into your premises. So why have we done it as government? We have removed visa restrictions to be able to allow us to gain to that ambitious number of 1.5 million international visitors within the year 2023. Now, that again is something that we want you in the diaspora to help us with. You are the ones, we are reaching out to the diaspora to bring people into Zambia. We are trying to bring the world to Zambia. Now, the only way you're going to bring the world to Zambia is to allow yourselves to invest in our sector, is to allow yourselves to market Zambia as a destination. And remember, there's no better person to market Zambia than the Zambians themselves. You in the diaspora are sitting at a vantage point. You in the diaspora are sitting in a position where you can actually set up facilities, set up activities, set up businesses that will speak to those particular nationals that you're living with in the diaspora. And remember, the biggest challenge that we've had in our country is that the cost of capital has been high. We are, as government, working hard to see how best we could reduce the cost of capital. But then again, you are sitting in a place where you could probably borrow at LIBOR +1, which obviously would give us an opportunity for you to bring your remittances to Zambia and invest. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end here by encouraging you to think about investing in Zambia. There's no better opportunity to invest in Zambia than now. Thank you very much. Zambia, let's explore.